they did early on is they said, look, if you have revenue loss, you can calculate that revenue loss and you can spend that on anything you want. The revenue calculation was complicated, and so they finally came out and said, look, if you want to, you can do the calculation, or you can just do a standard $10 million. We said, let's take the $10 million. That way, in 5 years, there's nobody coming back saying we did the calculation wrong. It was close enough that we said, well, let's do the $10 million. Transportation was not included in the general uses. And so that $10 million, what they said, if you had revenue loss, you can use that for any governmental purpose, anything you'd normally spend money on. So that's where we said, well, look, this is an opportunity to use some of this money for transportation, because otherwise we would not have been able to. And just so you know, recreation tomorrow or Thursday, you're going to hear a lot more about the plans for the rest of the $12 million. We've got 1.5 that's going to be added to the water sector program that you've heard about in Donaldsonville that's going to help fix the water plant and move the intake structure. The state made us put up a match for that, and they made us use our rescue money. So those are what you're going to see rounded out, and when it goes to council, it's going to be one resolution that'll have it all together. So the transportation, the recreation, and the matching money.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, so we had a discussion. Any objections? None? So moved. Moving on to item 5A, acceptance of minutes of the May 10th, 2022. We have a motion by Councilman Mason.
Second.
Second by Councilman Lambert. Any objections? None, so moved. Item 5B, department report. Mr. Turo.
Thank you, council members. I'm going to go through my normal spiel. The first is the DOTD projects. Just to give you a rundown of the information that I got from the Brittany office. LA 44 at 941, that roundabout, that's going to be built in that area, Loosemore area. Utility relocations are still ongoing. They're due to be finished in late July, and then construction begin after that. LA 74, we all know, has been going on for quite a while. They are doing all the tie-ins from the roadway to the driveways. Now, the wearing course, they tell me, is going to, which is the final lift of asphalt, is going to be started on the 17th, Sunday the 17th, and that work is going to be done at night. LA 70, which is from the Assumption Parish line to the east side, to the Ascension Parish side. So that project covers Ascension and St. James Parish. That job is almost totally complete. It still has striping and signage left to do. LA 30, which is actually in Iberville Parish, but it's right at the Ascension Parish line. The asphalt work, there was a lot of drainage work also, but the asphalt work is now complete. So there's the need for the signal pole to come in, and the loops that help the signal pole, the traffic signals deal with traffic as it comes. That's yet to be done, and I know they have delays like Move Ascension has had on a lot of the construction with material coming in. So that one, as soon as the material comes in, that project should be finished. The LA 934 project, which is the Gold Place Road, the asphalt work is now complete on that roadway. There was some tree removals also. The only work that remains on it is the striping and final dressing, and they say some pipe cleaning. And that roadway is part of the road swap with DOTD. So whenever that project is finished, it will become the property of the parish, and the parish will be maintaining that road. The LA 1 project has really not gotten started yet. It too had material problems getting material on it. So I know the contractor only wants to start whenever they can go at it rigorously and get it completed. That is LA 1 from LA 3089 in Donaldsonville to the Iberville Parish line. Also on the west side, LA 18 is under construction from the Sunshine Bridge to LA 3120, which is the A-bin area. They are installing drainage pipes there now. Later on, they'll be able to work on the roadway. The river is down sufficiently to where they can do that asphalt work. Next is the work that that our crew, the parish crew, first is the pavement preservation section. You can see that there are 31 different roads. So that's all the roads that are in excellent shape. It's called a rejuvenator, and it's in our routine now. Whenever we have a road that's overlaid either by the contractor or by the parish forces, we put this rejuvenator on it, and it's the purpose of it is to make a very good road stay a very good road. It's meant to kind of lock in the fines that are usually the first thing to deteriorate on a brand new roadway. So it is in our routine to treat those roads with a contractor. A contractor does that work. Now on to the parish roads or the parish work. It's been 2 months since we had a meeting, so I have the May and June report here. In May, there were 11 different roads that our paving crew addressed, either by overlays or just making repairs, improvements to the turnouts and all that. So that was in the month of May. Also in May is a list of all the signs that were repaired, and I know we had a discussion last meeting about stop signs and street signs. In the month of May, we replaced 9 stop signs and 22 road signs, and I would guess about half of that is replacing signs that just get worn or knocked down or something like that. Some of them just get taken, and but we do, especially stop signs, we replace those immediately. The other thing that we had discussed last meeting is the cost. Each sign is approximately $50. A stop sign, a normal size stop sign, which is a 30-inch by 30-inch, and also a street sign that has a short name. If it's a longer name, it's a little bit more expensive. If it's an oversized stop sign, it's certainly a little more expensive. If it is a flashing stop sign, that's very expensive. Luckily, these last 2 months, we have not had to replace any of those two. But I did want to tell you, that's about the cost of each sign. In the month of June, you see our paving crew addressed 11 different roads in a similar fashion, either overlaying or improving turnouts, doing extensive patching. In some cases, we extend a road whenever we did not pave the entire part of what we own. And then somebody wanted to build on that extension. Well, we went ahead and overlaid the end of the roadway to include all the part that the parish owns. So in June, again in June, we replaced about 30 road signs and 15 stop signs. So that's a cost that's about $2,300 for that. On to the road I guess, our contracts. I know tonight we're going to be approving or ask for approval of Task Order 2, which, is our road rehabilitation contract. We are currently working on Task Order 3. Included in Task Order 3 is a lot of roads in Dara that were basically obliterated by the sewer contract that we had. A lot of times on just about all of these 7 or 8 roadways, the sewer was installed in the middle of the road. So of course it tore up the road. So that's included in this package. Also in Task Order 3, and we talked about St. Landry Road, the end of St. Landry Road was just getting tore to pieces, especially whenever we did there was a lot of wood tree hauling to Lamar Dixon. Well, the paving of St. Landry, that section was completed today. And some work has been done on those roads in Dara. But after today, the crew, that contractor crew is moving back to the Dara area and will be finishing up those roadways.
Joey, I'm going to interrupt you one moment.
Sure.
Councilwoman Cazzo has a question.
So on the signage issues, I think we've discussed this before, so if I did, I apologize for bringing it up again, but when we finish the construction of Highway 74, I'd like to talk about creating an identity for my community of Dutchtown. It's recommended by one of my constituents. He said, most of us know where Dutchtown is, but only those people who live here know. So we don't have an identity. So I would really like to see about sitting down with you, working on some boundaries. I'll speak to Mr. Labe, who says he's kind of done some of the history, and let's identify what does it take, what kind of permission do we need to identify Dutchtown on both Highway 74 and Highway 73. We're going to have, I've talked about having a sign done on the interstate. I don't think that's the right, that just doesn't, it wasn't very attractive. But if we could identify it on 73 and 74, I think it would be helpful just to the community. So should we talk out of a meeting one day about how we go about doing that?
Sure. It is DOTD's highway, so we would have to go to DOTD, but I mean, we have the same, I think we discussed that part, we have the same post that they do, so it's not like we'd have to do anything special. There is a Dutchtown sign if you're coming from St. Gabriel going in. So after you and I talked, I did drive through and I did see that one Dutchtown sign, but
it was in bad shape the last time I saw it.
Right, and it's very simple. I mean, if you want one like that, it's just
that's
a
all we
basic
need.
green and white sign, block letter, typical a DOTD style sign. So
If you wanted to put flashing lights, it'd be okay, but
Purple lights.
But
Dutchtown High.
purple lights.
Right.
In purple and white, maybe, let's do it. But, we really just need something that helps us both on 73 going to the school. I think it would be helpful when people are getting off, they're headed to the school, to know that they're in the right place, because they don't have, Dutchtown's not listed on the as you get off at the interstate. You only have 2.
Right.
And it says Prairieville and Geismar. So let's off on the side. Let's talk about that. And I'm going to ask Mr. Labe to sit down with us and kind of help us figure out what the boundaries are and kind of put them at the appropriate places.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It will be. Thank you so much.
I have a contract that, and since we didn't have a meeting last go around, I'm not sure if I'm repeating myself. I don't think I am, but we do have a bridge inspection contract where we have 2 contractors. I did get results from those 2 companies. I gave them 5 bridges apiece, actually 6 to one of them. it did help me create a contract for the repair of the Casey Road Bridge that has a 5-ton limit right now. So the school, knows that they can't pass buses on that roadway, and it's an important road because it connects Cantey Road, LA 621 to Babin Road, and you continue on and it goes to LA 74. I was able to put a contract together. It went out for bid. We have a low bidder. It was allowed to go to full council, which will be next Thursday for approval. So it was put on the Finance Committee last night. Next Thursday, it will go for full council approval. Contracts will be signed, and hopefully we'll get working on that bridge shortly thereafter. And this same contract allows me, after the work is done, to have them come back and look at it, verify that it has a better load limit. The goal is to make it to where school buses can pass on it, and I can inform the school board and get that done. So that's in the works. On to the
Joe, I
move.
have a question on that.
Yep.
Real quick. You said they want to come and make sure it can meet the limit.
What's that?
Did I understand that right? That they're going to come back and make sure, they're just going to verify that it does, but it's all been designed to meet the limit.
Right.
The weight limit.
It's
needed.
called gosh, there's a term for it, but I mean, they do have to verify that
Yes.
the corrections were made, and a load limit, that they determine what the load limit is on it. Right now, the load limit is 5 tons, which, is not very good at all.
So is there a chance that they could come back and say it doesn't meet the load limit?
They could, but what this contract allowed me to do is the bridge experts went to that bridge and said, here are the parts that need to be corrected. So I took that information, I put it into the contract, and I have a bidder that says, I can do that work. So once they get that accomplished, then I'm going to get that same engineering firm to come back and verify that those corrections were made, and they can reestablish a load limit on it. And my initial instructions to that firm is that I want to be able to pass a school bus and then some on that bridge. So,
That's what I was going to say, that if
Yeah.
if it comes back and it doesn't meet that limit, tell them we want our money back. And,
right.
okay, good.
That's right. That's right. The Move Ascension projects, Germany and US 61 has been under construction. What they call the binder course, all the roadway improvements have been done. The left turn lane and the right turn lane are constructed. The asphalt is on those parts. So all of the roadway is fully functional, but this one we've stopped contract time because the contract does involve traffic signals, and that equipment is being delayed. The contractor has not been able to get delivery of the traffic signal, what they call the cabinet, which has all the circuitry in it, to activate the new signals and to install the new signal heads for the left turn lane and the right turn lane. So we've allowed contract time to be stopped until that equipment comes in. Then the contractor will install it, and then you'll have a dedicated left turn signals and right turn signals to have that intersection function the way it should. But we do have all the lanes open. And so not only will we install the traffic signal and all of that, we're going to put the final lift of asphalt on it, what we call the wearing course. So that's the only things that are left to be done for that project. The other one is the Henry Road clearing and grubbing project. That's for the entirety of Henry Road, and actually It actually turns into west as it goes to Akins and Tillotson. So it goes from LA 73 all the way to Akins and Tillotson. That project is about 70% complete. That's just a tree removal project. It does have some fences that we're moving back also. So that's about 70% complete. Church Point at Roddy. These are just the status of the next series of projects that are coming up.
I think we're probably good on those unless anybody has any questions. Anybody have any questions? You sure?
Just
No?
one
Okay.
real quick,
Councilman Lambert.
we on stop signs. Some of us are not fortunate enough to have lighting districts. The blinking light stop signs, at Joseph Ariel at 933. I think you got the ones up at Merritt Evans and Joseph Ariel. They working good, but with no security lights, people really depend on those blinking lights. And just looking through the whole parish, Joey, a lot of the signs are down. Fire department signs are down. We really need to concentrate. If there's a problem, we're getting signs, we need to know, but it's been a while.
Right.
And I know we have a crew, a sign crew, and this needs to be put in front.
Yep. We did finally, I don't know exactly why we have such a delay in getting those signs. They are, a little different as far as the fire station signs, but we did finally get those in, so we should be putting those up shortly. But I can check also on any specific ones, like I'll check in the 933 in Joe Severio. I know that is, the school's right there, so it's
Yeah.
very important that it's visible.
It's just, I've noticed it all throughout the parish. We really need to really tighten up on sign issues if we can, and I just
Right.
appreciate it.
Sure.
Councilman Lawson.
Thank you. I do just have, I got a few things, Mr. Joey. First, the biorejuvenation, that coating that we're putting on. In the last, few months, we've done George Lambert and I think
Eco?
Lawn Road. Look, and so these roads who are getting close to, they need to be repaved. But I find this stuff is actually, look, once they coat it, I mean, it fills in potholes and pretty large cracks and all that. So I'm on the few roads I've seen it on, I'm a really big fan. It looks like we're going to get, maybe 5-10 more years out of these roads instead of having to repave them at a small fraction of the price. So I just wanted to share my thoughts there. And just to piggyback on what Mr. Lambert was saying, so at George Lambert and Stringer Bridge, we're all aware of the deadly accidents that happen there a few times a year. So ever since y'all took down the 30-inch LED signs and we installed those 48-inch double signs on each side of the road, and then we put a cross traffic does not stop
Right.
sign or whatever, I don't think we've had a bad incident since we installed those late last year. So I always favored the LED signs, but those 48-inch signs on both sides of those intersections is pretty aggressive. I like that a lot. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's a heck of a lot cheaper than having one LED sign right there. You're doubling up on those just big 48-inch.
Yeah.
So
It is, but I can understand Councilman Lambert about there's some locations where like that intersection of 933 and Joe Severio, it's wide and it kind of makes it offset. So
Right.
it's kind of strategic. I mean, I think about it as far as what makes it effective. So if it's way off on the side, it may be better to go with a blinking sign. But if it's right there and the 30-inch just looks too small. We'll just go with a bigger sign.
And I do have one question. So I have a lot of complaints all the time about the little side roads, little family roads, right? And I think this is Aaron's pet peeve, I'm sure, is the complaints with the speeding. They're speeding down my road. Kids are riding bikes and they're speeding, and they'll have children at play sign, or they won't have a children at play or anything like that. What's the process if we wanted to add a few slow down children at play sign? Is it as simple as putting in a work order?
Yeah,
I have a few roads that have had them in for quite some time now, and I know we're having trouble getting signs in a timely manner. But I'm gonna shoot you an email.
Not that bad, but
I'll shoot you an email with those specific work orders on certain roads.
Right.
And the last one I'm gonna mention, just because Mr. Burse is about to come up. As far as move ascension and large projects, there's two critical areas that I would like for us to look at. Both on 431, have a westbound turn lane at Bayou Northeast and a westbound turn lane at 621 K&T Road. That's the only two intersections on 431 that we do not have those left turn lanes. And every day from 4:30 to 6, you have all the plant traffic down 30. They cross an airline, they go on at 431, and those lights back up past the lights in front of them. Like you'll sit in front of Duckaroo's for 20 minutes just trying to get to 621. And so I've spoken to our state reps about this as well to see if there's anything that they could do to help us out there. But that's two locations on a pretty major corridor, especially in the evening time, that I'd like us to explore.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you send an email to me on that also? 'Cause
Yep.
I'm going to forget which one they are if I write them down
Okay.
and lose the paper.
Sure will.
Councilwoman Kazza.
So Joey, my subdivision in particular, Oaks on the Bluff, was treated 3 years ago, I would say. It was wonderful, it was beautiful, but it's back now to pretty much like it was. So what is the anticipated duration of that preservation treatment, and what's next? Because the road's it's still in good shape, but it doesn't look like you're back to seeing all the lines that were where the crack fill was done a few years before.
Yeah, well, there's two, and the next contract, there'll actually be 3 different applications based on the condition of the roadway. So whenever the road is in excellent shape, so immediately after it's finished, we put that rejuvenator on it, and it's really a kind of like a clear coat on it that seals in those fines to where it looks like a new road for a longer period of time. That's a theory behind it, and it seems like it's doing good with that. But whenever you look at it, you may not think you really did anything, but that's what it is. It's a clear coat to do that. Now, if the road has a few cracks on it, tight cracks, not anything huge, there's another product, and it's a sealer. And I think it's what was put down there.
Yeah,
And
we had ours was black.
Right.
It looked brand new. the
it
road
actually
did.
has a little grit to it, so a
Right.
little sand, and it fills in the cracks also.
Oh, yeah, it was
It
beautiful.
won't fill in huge cracks, but it'll fill in some cracks. But what we do also is do a crack seal beforehand.
We did that.
So if it does have a big crack, you just go with it's kind of like a wand where it spews out a liquid asphalt, and it seals it, and then you put that sealer on top of it on the entire roadway, and that's whenever the road's a little bit deteriorated, but not gone.
That was our status. So it was done, it looked beautiful, but we're 3 years out, and now it pretty much looks like it did before it was done.
Right.
So how long is that supposed to last? And even though
probably
you
need-
can't see it as well now, is it still doing the job?
Right. As long as you don't see the cracks, it's doing its job.
New cracks.
Yeah, an open crack, because the big part of preserving a road is to make sure the moisture doesn't get down. So that's why you generally do the crack sealing first, and then you follow it up with the sealer that's for the entire roadway. But that crack sealing is probably as important or more important
Right.
than the seal over the entire pavement, because you don't want water to get into that base course.
Right. And we did all that. We went through the crack, just the sealant, and then you put on the top coat.
Right.
And it was beautiful. But as I said, we're 3 years out from that, and I don't know what's happening now.
Yeah.
It doesn't look that good anymore, and I certainly couldn't continue to look like it was brand new. So my question is it still working? And what's the next step? If our roads are still in good shape, but they look bad again.
Right.
And I know we got roads that are really bad. They don't just look bad. So, but I wonder what the next step is, and when are we doing this evaluation every so many years of those roads that we used to do a few years back? You know, they were all driven, given a score, and we understood how long it would be before a certain area would be, repaved.
There's it's been a little frustrating, but I usually get a report from our CRPC support team, and I have not gotten a report since a little before 2016, before the big flood and all that. But I did get a preliminary report finally earlier last week, and then I have a meeting with them tomorrow. A Zoom meeting with them that hopefully I'll get another report that will give me numbers. I did get, like that initial report just said either very poor, fair, good, or very good. It's generally not good enough. I need something a little more specific, and they usually supply that. But for different reasons, and I think COVID was a big part of it,
Sure.
They've been lagging in giving me an updated version, updated analysis of all the roads in the parish. That's what's great about that report. They cover all the roads in the parish. They give me numbers, they give me specifics as to why the number's here and not, how they came up with the number, or you can just see, was it the pavement, was it the shoulder, different things like that. And it's a great tool for me to put roads into all these categories. And back to the pavement preservation part, now we have like 2 different categories. Well, whenever the new contract comes out, which will be shortly in about 2 months, we'll have maybe 3 or 4 different categories based on the severity of the road, the condition of the road, from the rejuvenator, which is for a brand new road, to another application where there's actually a brush so that it kind of works the asphalt into the grooves and does a better job of sealing. So, it's to where you can put roads based on their condition into different categories and get the best treatment of the roadways.
So some of my subdivisions on Highway 74, I think you and I talked about one of them. Those roads it was too late to seal them.
Right.
So we'll need to talk further about
Yeah.
when those are due to be
But
reconstructed.
that report that I get from the CRPC guys,
Will be your guide.
it kind of reassures us, or it tells us that, this is a little too far gone. We need to go ahead and put it on the road rehabilitation list, or sometimes we can do that in-house. We could do, especially short dead-end roads, that's the ones that we generally do in-house.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay, do we have any other questions for Mr. Tura? Nope, thank you very much. Okay. Let's see, moving on to item 5C, HNTB Move Ascension Update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. We had some technical difficulty getting my PowerPoint loaded up, so each of y'all should have a packet in front of you. And for some of these slides. I'll put them on the overhead so that the public can see. We'll cover the construction.
No.
We'll cover construction status, then pre-construction. We'll talk very briefly about the COVID funds and the projected projects to use. That was already voted on earlier as item L. And then we'll talk about traffic impact fee allocations and then upcoming activities. So you'll see on the first page all the projects that have been completed thus far to date. The projects under construction, Mr. Turo just alluded to those. That's the 61 in Germany intersection and the Henry clearing and grubbing. And we have several projects ready to go on deck that are waiting for either clearing operations or utility relocations, but have been 100% design completed. All right-of-way has been acquired. As a matter of fact, Mr. Turo was telling me that the Bro Germany roundabout clearing should start the end of this week? Today, it started today.
Yeah.
And then in the next couple of weeks, yes, sir.
Is that why the light's down and they have stop signs now? Okay. No? That was an accident. Yes or no? Okay, thanks.
And then you'll see a litany of some of the roundabouts on your list until we get to some of the more lengthy widenings on Highway 930 and then Henry. Those are all up next for construction. Pre-construction, you'll see there are 6 projects currently under design. You'll see there are several yet to be assigned and/or have recently been assigned, and we'll begin the design of those here in the coming weeks. The right-of-way acquisitions are ongoing. We have almost 300 parcels acquired to date. And we are still working on some upcoming projects to start acquisition on Duplessis and Germany, a couple of off-system bridge projects as well. Just to give you an order of magnitude. Pre-construction
Sorry.
Germany.
Are you watching them?
I was curious to see if anybody was watching the meeting.
Just to give you an order of magnitude for right-of-way acquisitions and the time we're talking about, Duplessis and Germany by themselves, those 2 projects alone have 217 parcels to acquire. So we'll be efforting that now, and as you may remember, we do have federal monies that we can use to go and acquire those parcels as well. And then, of course, the last one on pre-construction, utility relocations. Those are the longest lead time and certainly the critical path to getting a lot of these projects under construction. As Joe had mentioned earlier, the Church Point Roddy is just about complete, and then they're moving on to 929 Parker, 929, 930, and then on through the rest of your list, as you see. Moving on to the next slide, we'll talk about the COVID American Act funding that Mr. Goldsmith had mentioned before on item L. Yes,
1 second, Jeff. Councilman Lawson has a question.
certainly.
Hey, real quick, on the 930 project, are we strictly waiting on utilities? And if it is utilities, is that part of the DEMCO issue?
Yeah.
That's all DEMCO?
Well,
930?
The only thing we're waiting on, it is correct to say, is utility relocations. It's 100% designed. We have acquired all of the right-of-way. It has been cleared. All fences and trees are down. Fences have been moved back. The problem is it's not any one company. No utilities have moved on that corridor yet because it's a little bit lower in the queue. Because for us to go and relocate 9 different utilities, including some pipelines, along a almost 2-mile stretch of road would take the better part of a year, whereas we wanted to focus on some of these intersections to where we can get 5 or 6 roundabouts under construction and then send them to these longer corridors. So while it is true that there's only utilities yet to be relocated before we can go to construction, it was an intentional strategic move to not put that higher on the list, whereas all of these other projects would be waiting deeper in the queue when we can really have 5 or 6 roundabouts under construction while they take that long 6+ month lead time to relocate all utilities.
Yeah, okay.
About a year and a half ago, we had met on that, the steering committee, and we looked at, do we put that project, that in Henry Road, right up front, knowing that it would take like you said, I mean, you're talking when you do both of those right next to each other, probably a year and a half to 2 years of utility relocation, and we'd have multiple roundabouts throughout the parish just sitting, waiting to be done. So we said, let's do these roundabouts first. We didn't expect that one particular utility would delay everything. So it was the right decision. I still think it's the right decision to get all these roundabouts done, because once those all get done, once they move to that 930 project, they can do that and then immediately move to Henry Road and get that whole area done. But we're waiting on
Gotcha.
somebody.
Just with 930, I worry so much with the Prairieville Middle School there and all the buses. I mean, that, yeah, in the high school, I honestly believe that that is the most unsafe stretch of road that we have in the entire parish. Like, whenever you figure in the school buses, so
It's very narrow, and with those
Yeah.
90-degree turns, it makes it very difficult to traverse through that corridor,
Yeah.
certainly.
okay, thanks. That's all. I was just curious where we stood with.
Do you know anybody
930.
at Demco by any chance? They can help us out.
Looking at the slide, I won't belabor the point, but these are the projects that were discussed with the administration and steering committee, and that's item L that you had approved earlier this evening. I just wanted to kind of show a list of some of the projects and the monies that would go to spend that $10 million of rescue money. And then the next couple of slides are just little schematic, conceptual layouts of all of the projects that the money would be used for. A lot of them are roundabouts, some of them is for match, some of it's right-of-way acquisition to preserve the corridor for a future four-laning of 73.
That's
Do we
exciting.
have any questions?
I would like to just say, like, thank you as always, Jeff, for just being ready. I mean, as soon as that money came down, you guys had it allocated and ready to go. So I really appreciate it, because now Bro in Germany will get that roundabout that is very much needed, because I get nothing but calls about that red light, and I'm ready for it to
Yes.
go away. And somebody called me today. That's why I got really excited about it. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate
Certainly.
it.
And after the,
You're assuming utilities are going to be moved.
I know, just let me have it.
after in your packet, the conceptual layouts of the projects that we would use those monies for is the new development traffic impact fee discussion. That was passed, it was discussed at last night's finance committee meeting. I won't go over it in great detail unless you have specific questions. And basically what we're doing is spending down the balance in both zones 2 and 3 of the monies that have been collected and allocating them to projects so that the projects can advance and that the parish does not lose those monies and then get reverted back to the developers.
Councilman Malassol.
On the Bluff Road connector, where do we stand with that? Just, we haven't talked about it in a while, so I'm just curious.
Design is about 98% complete. We are beginning right-of-way acquisitions now. There are some difficulties with some clearing title on the bluff end. And speaking of the bluff end, we will be adding turn lanes on Bluff Road itself as part of the project, as per for us to get the DOTD project permit. That is a requirement. On the 73 end, there is a commercial piece of property that we will not be able to acquire immediately because we're just beginning design of a roundabout on 73 at that Bluff Road connector. And so getting that layout completed and looking at the geometry, getting DOTD to accept that geometry will dictate a lot. So I don't want to go and try to acquire right away from the same exact owner twice for the connector and then separately for the roundabout. So, but once we have that geometry, we'll be able to finalize that parcel, acquire that piece, and because it's a new greenfield construction, very minimal utilities have to be moved out of the way, except probably at the tie-ins, a little bit of adjustment on the gas and the water. I think one pole has to be relocated. Other than that, as soon as we acquire the right-of-way, we'll be looking to go to construction either by the end of this year or early part of next year to take bids. Yes.
Exciting.
Yeah. As far as that right-of-way acquisition, we do have the ability to do what we have to do to make sure we get it quickly, so let's not let that hold us
Correct.
up.
Correct.
And the owner, I think, is aware and cooperative, so.
Yes, we've had open conversations with the owners throughout the connector. There's only a handful of ownerships that we're dealing with, and they're very excited about the project and been very cooperative.
Yeah, and from my conversations, I'm not hearing any concerns about when it gets bought or any risk that it would get sold to someone else, and then you've got another situation to deal with. So I
Right.
think we're very stable there. I thank you so much for that Bluff Road Connect.
Yeah, the early communication with the landowners, understanding what the project is, the timelines, what we were looking to do, and any potential allocation for connections was key in their cooperation, certainly. And with that, I just,
Let me
yes, sir.
get another question here. I don't want to have a panic attack here, but the LA 44 and Parker Road roundabout, you're gonna have it in the next, we got $1 million here that we would impact, fee allocations. I don't see it in the packet here. When are you gonna have that ready?
That one is, we're actually going to be getting under contract to start design here in the next month or two.
Okay,
That one is actually listed on the third slide under design projects up next in the packet, the fourth one down. So, yes, that one definitely is advancing, and we should be getting them under contract here in the next handful of weeks to where we can get that design started.
so with the improvements we have already at that intersection, how much are we really looking at for relocations? Just looking at these other roundabouts that you have throughout the parish, we have quite a bit of right-of-way at all of these intersections. Is this look like it's gonna go pretty quick, though?
Well, being that it is on Highway 44, we do have to coordinate all of our efforts with the DOTD and then sign off on the roundabout report, which is basically the traffic analysis, which will dictate lane configuration, et cetera. And I would believe, at least in the north and southbound approaches, that it'll be a dual legged roundabout. And in several of the other locations that might call for, let's say, a single lane roundabout, we are anticipating and planning ahead to when we go acquire the right-of-way, acquire what would be needed for the expansion to create it into a dual roundabout later when the traffic needs then warrant and dictate that.
Yeah, because I'm noticing on these other ones, you're gonna offset, a lot of this is offset, and, I mean, we've got the turn lane on Parker and the turn lanes on Highway 933. And this is really gonna really open up the north end of the parish, so really appreciate the rescue money and everything else that's going into this. That we,
Yes, sir.
with that high school hitting, I mean, we need immediate relief.
And it was also brought up, talking about the new high school, the two CEAs with the school board. And so we are actually already in talks with the school board's designer and working to, approve some of their early designs, typical sections, the plan for approach on both Parker and on 929.
Sure.
On that to anticipate the school coming, as well as the other improvements in the vicinity that we talked about, like this roundabout 44 in Parker, the one at 929 in Parker, which DOTD will let to construction this fall.
Sure.
So,
Good news.
yes, sir.
Councilwoman Cazzo.
Thank you. One more update. There's so much happening in District 8, and I'm so grateful. But tell me what the latest is on the 621 at 73.
621 and 73, DOTD is designing that in-house. They are looking to realign it, to push it further north away from its current tie-in so that they can remove that light and move some of those conflicts further away from the ramp termini. The current plan is for them to tie in with a signalized intersection and added turn lanes. The parish didn't feel like that was the best approach and would be and will be petitioning DOTD to put a roundabout there instead of a new signalized intersection. We actually have a meeting with DOTD and Dr. Calavoda, the Deputy Secretary, next week to discuss that. And so next time, we'll have a much more detailed report on those conversations and where we see that design going, and if they're willing to possibly look at a different analysis to accommodate that. It kind of makes sense that on the north side of the intersection, you replicate exactly what you're trying to accomplish on the south side of the interstate.
Absolutely. Keep me apprised
ma'am.
of that meeting. I may be able to attend.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was just going to add real quick, is that if you ever drive up through Port Vincent, you got a roundabout on one side and a red light on the other,
It's a disaster.
and it's a disaster. I mean, it is an absolute disaster.
Yeah, it was actually the president, Quinmont, that caught it. And so that we're working with the administration, we've contacted DOTD, and we've set up the meeting with Dr. Calavoda. So that'll be happening soon, and we'll be able to report back to this committee.
That'll be good.
Fantastic. Thank
I'm
the
sorry.
president for catching it.
Yes, indeed. Councilman Malassaw.
Yeah, on the 44 and Parker roundabout, are we going to design that for 2 lanes? Do we know yet?
It will be dictated on lane configuration and for a dual roundabout based on the roundabout report and the traffic analysis that DOTD mandates on their state highways for any roundabout. Given the traffic that we know is out there and similar other designs with similar traffic that have come out of the department recently, I anticipate that at least the north and southbound approaches would be dual lane. But that report will dictate. But again, one of the other directives by the president is that even if on some locations, where this one I believe will be dual lane, similar to what we're doing on 44 and Lowe's Avenue, DOTD did their own analysis, and it was a dual lane roundabout on the north and southbound approaches. But the direction the administration has given is that even if it's a single lane now for traffic warrants, we will go and acquire what is necessary to expand that roundabout to a dual lane in the future when the traffic counts warrant and dictate that it is expanded to a dual lane roundabout. So we are looking at that, and each case is different, of course, so it's site specific, and we'll be looking at them on a case by case basis, certainly.
Right, and the reason I ask, look, and this, this may be a decade down the road, but we all have that want to 4-lane 44 from 621 all the way to Highway 42. And so, even if we don't do the dual lane now, yeah, absolutely, while we are buying the right of way, make sure we acquire that and be prepared. Because 2 or 3 years ago, they just redid the bridge right there on 44, right there where what is it, Ficklin? Yeah, William Ficklin. Like, they put a brand new bridge right there, and it's not, so if we 4-lane it, we're having a new bridge to redo right there. So,
That's right.
Yeah, so even if we don't 2-lane it now, let's plan for the future a little better than we have.
And that's actually paramount to what the direction we're receiving from the administration is that, we're not planning for this one particular project. We're looking to the future. And you're right, 44 will have to be 4-laned at some point. So we're planning ahead for either a dual roundabout now, and if the warrants don't come back where it's justified and DOTD says no, then we're going to plan ahead and acquire out so that we can expand it in the future. Same thing with any kind of bridge crossings, and as we acquire right away at some of these intersections, we'll be looking at getting a little bit further out, not just for utilities, but further expansion of some of these roundabouts in the future.
Very good. Any more questions, Mr. Burst? Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
Presentation. Okay, moving on to item 5D, update on construction of Manchac Acres, road bridge over Muddy Creek. Joey, I was out there the other day looking at that. Tell me more.
The reason why it's tough to progress and has been tough to progress, every time we get any kind of medium to significant rain, it essentially washes away. The contractor can't leave the area blocked. He can pump so much, but whenever you get a significant rain, it'll actually blow out his berm. And strategically, he allows that to happen because if he doesn't, it'll flood people upstream. So that's what makes that challenging.
The
But,
people on the north side of the bridge will be fine with flooding the people upstream. It's okay.
well, can I quote you on that?
We want to get that thing done.
Right. But the bottom is poured, all of the boxes are in place. The wing walls, which is the four corners that keeps the dirt from collapsing in, that's all finished. The only thing that is still water sensitive is the what I call the head walls, the part right in front of those boxes. That's yet to be poured. It's going to be 4 different pours, one at the bottom, one at the top on each end. They do plan on getting that done by the end of the month, but that is still very weather sensitive. This week is not going to be all that great for it. But as soon as he's ready to get the job finished. So that'll be the last of the concrete pours. Then he can start backfilling, and that should go pretty quick. And, the completion of the project is, once they backfill it, you'll have a limestone roadway to drive on, and that's what the contract calls for. The parish is going to come behind it, because generally after you backfill it, you need traffic to hit it to let it settle. So after it settles, the parishes, our paving crew, will go and finish it off. So it'll be probably a month where you'll just see a limestone roadway, but traffic will be able to go over it, and the contractor will go away after everything's dressed and all that, and then the parish will come behind it and pave it, and we'll be finished.
Okay, very good. I'm going to tell everybody that Joey decided just to leave it limestone for a month. They're going to call you.
Thank you.
Make sure you put his office number.
Yeah. No, but that I'm glad to hear that there's progress on it. There's nothing we can do about the weather, and I say it all the time. We're moving as quickly as possible. So is the contractor. It is what it is right now.
Yeah, and Muddy Creek is such an important drainage canal for the parish. It's just tough you can't just stop it and build everything. You've got to keep the drainage to go through.
Well, they've got pumps. I was out there this weekend, and a lady stopped and asked, why are we pumping water from one side to the other? It's just like you said, so the people upstream don't flood. We got to keep that water moving because there is a big berm there. But thank you very much for that update. We'll move on. Let's see, where are we? 5E, update on LA 30 projects. What are we doing on LA 30? Tell us about it.
I really don't have much information on that other than and Jeff may have more information on it, but we were at the same meeting. Michael Baker is the company that is doing the environmental analysis for DOTD on LA 30. Their next task that they informed us is for traffic counts. You cannot do traffic counts when school is not in session. So at the end of August, they'll be able to start the next step, the task of getting traffic counts.
I'd asked John Diaz to come because he's been cheerleading that a lot, and I'd like to get him. Maybe next time he can be here to let us know a little bit more. Or Jeff, if you'd like to come say something.
Yeah, Mr. Diaz has certainly been spearheading a lot of the efforts along the Highway 30 corridor, meeting with industry along there. Actually, this morning at his request, I gave a briefing on the Highway 30 corridor and projects at the local, state level. It was held with a lot of the plant managers at the BAS complex, and he was there to represent the parish. We have a lot going on Highway 30, as you well know. They have formed a traffic working group. Some of the plant managers over there, Mr. Randy Kluat, as y'all all know so well, was in attendance, and it was received pretty well. The couple of things about some of the projects I can talk about is the study that Joey mentioned got started earlier this year. It is an environmental assessment that Michael Baker is leading, and it is a DOTD contract. They are looking at the possible four-laning of LA 30 from I-10 all the way through 3 parishes to the LSU gates. Well, that's one thing going on. Obviously, y'all are familiar with the new Mississippi River Bridge crossing. They're down to 3 alternatives, all in Iberville Parish, but all do tie into Highway 30 at some point. What we do have is this fall, DOTD is going to let the roundabouts at Tangamall, that is a set of 3 roundabouts, 2 at the I-10 ramp termini and 1 at 30 in St. Landry. They, 2 more roundabouts received both surplus money and House Bill 2 state bond money this last legislative session. On the west side or of 30 of the interstate, 1 near St. Elizabeth Hospital and 1 just west of 44 by that new development. And so those have money, those are funded. Those are going to be DOTD projects. And then, of course, sometime in the next 2 months, DOTD plans on advertising for an environmental assessment slash IJR that Federal Highways requires for firms to look at 2 brand-new interstate interchanges, 1 at I-10 and 74, and 1 at I-10 and 429 Cornerview. The one at Cornerview had done some preliminary studies where it would actually have a north-south connector tying into Highway 30 through greenfield construction with a node in the middle, probably a roundabout, that then had an east-west component to it that tied into Highway 73, made for a very nice network. We were also successful in getting federal dollars to put a roundabout and fund a roundabout on Highway 30 at that new north-south connector. Obviously, we're not going to design that and build that now until we see how the interchange and the connections advance through the environmental and alternative selection process. And with that, that is a lot of things going on in and around, simultaneously in and around the Highway 30 corridor. But that's what I'd presented at the meeting this morning at Mr. Diaz's request. So happy to relay that to y'all as well.
Do we have any questions on that? It's a lot of good things going on.
It's exciting. Been
Okay.
talking about it a lot of years.
Yeah, it's amazing how everything takes so long. Okay, moving on to item 5F, approval for a reduction of speed limit on Calcote Road from 35 to 25. This was an item Councilman Cagnolati requested, and I'll let him speak if he would like.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Number of constituents that live on Calico Road, I'm sorry.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Motion by Councilman Molossaw, second by Councilwoman Casso.
I'll just say that a number of constituents in that area requested Cal Road, which is perpendicular to Calico Road, comes off of Chester Diaz, and it's 25. But there's only homes, residential on one side of that road. The other side is pasture. Whereas Calico Road, which goes from 74 to Cal Road, has residents on both sides and small children, so they're asking to, and the speed limit on Cal Road is 25. So they just want to lower it to.
What's the shortcut whenever Chester Diaz backs up? Stop
And
taking
they
that
got a lot of
shortcut.
traffic there as a result of the construction on 74, so
Yep.
that was their request.
Okay, very good. Any further discussion? Any objections? None, so moved. Item 5G, approval of the addition of a project into Move Ascension program for the installation of 2 streetlights to be installed on Coon Trap Road, LA 938, along curve near where Toby Road and Sweet Bay Lane intersect with Coon Trap Road.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, a second by Councilwoman Casso. Any discussion? Any objections? None, so moved. Item 5F, approval of roads included in the task order number 2 of the 2020 reconstruction and overlay improvements.
Motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Mason, a second by Councilman Molossaw. Mr. Toro would like to speak.
I just wanted to mention before you adjourn, Cannon Road was supposed to start today, but actually the crew had COVID in that crew, so they are going to start, the start has been delayed until Monday, And I think with the weather, they probably wouldn't be able to get too much going anyway. So I just wanted to, I know that's a hot subject. So the construction on Cannon Road will start Monday.
Fantastic.
Very good.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second? So moved.